Today I'm going to be making my favourite waffle recipe. It's my go-to breakfast when really I've only got kind of 5-10 minutes to make some breakfast, but I don't want plain old boring oats. I want a proper cooked breakfast. I want something that's warm, I want something that feels a little bit naughty, but also healthy and really macro friendly at the same time. So as I said, we're going to do this almost as one take because I'm going to show you how fast and easy this recipe is. So here's what you're going to need. I've already pre-measured this out, so you'll need about 35 to 40 grams of oats. And again, you can adjust these quantities depending on what macronutrients you want to hit as well. So if you want double the amount of waffles, then double the quantities of everything. So we've got 35 grams of oats. We're going to have one whole banana. The riper the banana, the more sweet you're going to have it. We're going to have 2 whole eggs. You can also use egg whites as well if you want to. We're going to have about 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, and then we're also going to have 1 scoop of whey protein powder. It works with all different flavors of protein powder, but vanilla just gives that neutral taste. So we're just going to crack on. We've already put our waffle maker onto preheat. I've given it a few sprays of oil, and then we're just going to throw everything into one blender. So we've already got our oats, 35 grams of oats. And again, I'm going to show you how really fast and easy this is. 35 grams of oats, 1 banana, one tip I was always given about cracking eggs. Don't crack eggs on a sharp surface. If you crack eggs on a flat surface, you're not going to get shards of egg in your blender, hopefully. So 2 eggs. Into that, I'm going to add our most of the time, to be honest, I'll eyeball this, but as I'm on camera, I'll use a measure. About 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. And that's not baking soda, that's baking powder. And then we're going to add our 1 scoop of whey protein. Now, I've tried this with different protein powders. It does work with a plant-based protein powder, but it can be a little bit chalky in texture, but a whey protein powder works brilliantly with this. And as I said, I use my band 8X whey protein, really good grass-fed whey protein powder, and that's what I have with my breakfast. So you're not going to hear me for the next portion because I'm going to blend all this up for a few minutes. So we'll cut that. Okay, so we've blended it until it's really, really fine. And you know when it's done because the oats will basically turn into like an oat flour. You can also use oat flour if you prefer not to use whole oats. It might make blending a little bit quicker, but to be honest, just whole oats, they're quick, they're cheap, they're really easy, you can get them anywhere. So we blended it up, and so we've already put our waffle maker on preheat. When you're buying waffle makers, guys, I've gone through probably 10 of these in the last few years. They're all the same, whether you're spending £20, £40, £60 on them. So it doesn't mean you have to spend loads on a waffle maker. They all work. So we're just pouring our waffle mix in there evenly. You can see this waffle maker's been used quite a bit. And you also wanting to make sure that you get everything out of that, especially if you're counting your macros. You want to get every last drip out of that blender. And that's it. So we're going to leave that now for about 3 to 5 minutes. It just depends on how crispy you like your waffles. I like mine super crispy, so I might leave those there. I might give little old Aussie here his breakfast, and then I'll come back to my waffles 3-5 minutes later, and they're done and crispy. We'll cut it right here so you don't have to watch me talk whilst these cook, and then we'll come back into the next scene where I'll show you what my crispy cooked waffles look like. Okay, so we're 5 minutes later, and this is where we should find our waffles are done. You might find, especially if the back ones have risen a little bit more, that they'll be a little bit darker. As I said, that's up to you. So we should better get these out now, nice and cleanly. There we go. So 1, 2, yeah, nice. 3 and 4. And guys, I will put the macros at the bottom so I know exactly what are in these, but we're not talking many calories, especially compared to your standard waffles. And with these, what I normally like to do is present them nicely and Instagrammable, is put them with some low-fat Greek yogurt or zero-fat Greek yogurt. Put a nice dot of that on top. And then I make like a raspberry chia jam. Really, really simple to do. All I do is use frozen raspberries, chuck it in a saucepan with half an orange, squeeze in half an orange, and then I just cook that down so it almost just becomes a slightly kind of thicker, kind of melted, mushy raspberries. Let that cool, and then if you add some chia seeds into that, it just thickens it up so it's a little bit like a jam, and it's completely sugar-free. I normally do it like this, so I just keep it in my fridge, and it's really easy to chuck on in the morning, or you can just chuck on berries or whatever you want on top. As I said, this is just me. We're gonna go the whole hog with this. So we're gonna put on our raspberry chia jam, a few dollops of that. My presentation skills aren't amazing, but you'll get the picture. And then whatever your low sugar choice of sauce or dip is. Now let's double do it. And we'll end up with something that looks like that. Job done. Enjoy.